Hello, I'm Laurie Lane-Zucker, founder and CEO of Impact Entrepreneur. And let me briefly introduce Sir Ronald Cohen to you. Sir Ronald Cohen is a pioneering philanthropist, venture capitalist, private equity investor, and social investor. He is recognized as a father of impact investment and European venture capital and is driving forward the global impact revolution. He serves as chairman of the Global Steering Group for Impact Investment, the Impact Weighted Accounts Initiative at Harvard Business School, and the Portland Trust. He is a co-founder and former executive chairman of Apex Partners Worldwide, a global private equity firm. He's also co-founder of Social Finance UK, USA, and Israel. Sir Ronnie, thank you for joining us. It's a real pleasure to see you again.
Likewise, Laurie, good to see you.
Sir Ronnie, the subtitle for the program is Saving Capitalism with B Corps, Benefit Corporations, and Impact Investing. And the subtitle of your book is Reshaping Capitalism to Drive Real Change. So my first question is, why does capitalism need saving? And what, in your eyes, is real change? And can you answer these questions a little bit by sharing your career path as a venture capitalist and then as an impact investing pioneer?
I felt that venture capital was a way of creating jobs in the UK when there were millions of people unemployed. So if you like, the concept of doing good and doing well was very much part of my thinking when I got into venture capital. But then to answer your question, I realized as the years went by that although I was helping people from modest backgrounds become very wealthy and make people around them in their companies and around their companies very wealthy too, it wasn't really solving the issue of the big inequalities that exist within our society. He's saying the reason poverty continues to persist is we've tried to deal with it through government allocating money and philanthropists giving grants. We've never sought to bring investment to resolving social issues more broadly. I began to realize that what was happening was a change in our system. And the change was arising because people were beginning to realize, initially young people, that the system was creating more negative consequences than it should. We were endangering our lives on the planet, and we were endangering the cohesion of our society through inequalities, and businesses were creating and aggravating these problems in their sole search for profit. And so I began to realize that our economic system was beginning to change out of necessity. That if we wanted to bring companies and investors alongside governments in helping us to solve the big issues that we face today, then we would need to shift to risk-return impact. And we would need, therefore, to start measuring impact in a similar way that we measure profit. And of course, what we've seen now is this impact revolution break out into the open. Everyone saw the ExxonMobil rebellion, where 3 directors were kicked off the board and replaced with people who understand environmental issues better. Many people saw the Procter & Gamble rebellion, where 2/3 of shareholders voted against the management of P&G because of the deforestation its use of palm oil is creating. And many will have seen the judgment against Shell in the Netherlands, saying that it has a duty of care for the environment. Capitalism needs reshaping because it has become self-destructive in its current form. It has certainly helped to bring billions out of poverty, but today it's creating consequences that are so great that even governments can't cope with them.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on maybe some other recent innovations that you find to be most exciting.
The next big step is to bring transparency to public equities and private equities, but there's $100 trillion of public company money in the world on stock exchanges. And if we can bring transparency to that, and many people are worried about greenwashing, but don't realize that impact accounting is a reality today. It's feasible. Impact accounting data is already being used by some investors. If we can bring that, then you can bring an answer to the question, where are we going to find 30 trillion to achieve the SDGs?
I'm wondering, how might a traditional limited partner in private equity, a hedge fund, or a VC transition into impact investing?
What we're beginning to see is that investors are driving this revolution forward now. It started with young consumers and talent who refused to work or purchase the products of companies that were creating harm. And it's now shifted to investors, and investors are changing the behavior of companies. So an LP today, by seeking out managers who place impact at the center of their investment process, I don't think there's a necessary trade-off between achieving impact and profit. Of course, there will be some opportunities that investors can pick and choose from, where you can achieve huge impact but not much profit. But broadly speaking, if you're a fossil fuel company today, you've got real problems. You've got to shift in the direction of positive impact, or like Exxon, you're going to see your share price fall by 2/3 in 3 years. And if you go in the direction of clean, you invest in Tesla and you see the share price multiply 7 times in a single year.
Why should an entrepreneur consider impact investment for his or her business?
Most young entrepreneurs think that impact is increasingly necessary. We see imaginative new ventures seeking to bring education to the masses in ways that we couldn't contemplate before the new technologies made that possible. We see the same thing in remote health. We see the property area, we see housing disrupted by new models where young entrepreneurs are imagining different types of communities. And these revolutionary disruptors are going to do to big business what tech did, starting 3-4 decades ago. So I think entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs in particular, are naturally drawn to the idea of doing good and doing well, but they're beginning to realize that it's a better way of attracting talent, customers, and investors.
Can you talk about B-Lab and its importance to the impact movement?
It's very important that investors and the talent and consumers, for that matter, be able to recognize companies that are genuinely delivering positive impact, and that have the processes in place to ensure that they continue to do so. And that the B-Lab, B Corp movement has been extremely important in putting us on the path to achieving this. And we need to send clear legal signals that empower trustees and company directors to optimize risk, return, and impact. And I salute Andrew and his co-founders at B-Lab because they've really opened the way forward to this understanding.
So Ronnie, you mentioned remote health and telehealth. Could you comment on the potential for telehealth to reduce health inequities in medically underserved areas?
Of course, this is going to be a huge area, Laurie. We are beginning to see all sorts of ventures in the area of remote diagnosis of problems. We are beginning to find drugs delivered by drones to remote places in rural villages in Africa. Our ability today to treat people remotely, especially after the experience of having to do so through COVID, has increased hugely. I think it has huge potential.
What opportunities exist for retail investors in impact investing?
I think it's going to be a while before we have public companies publishing sufficient impact information that impact investors can invest from retail. On the other hand, we have ESG now. It doesn't measure its impact as impact investment does, but it seeks to achieve the same goal. And as I was saying earlier, we're going to see measurement coming to ESG in the form of impact accounting. So I think for now, retail probably needs to go in the direction of ESG.
Can you talk more about the role of impact measurement management?
If you look at how companies are reporting today on their impacts, they're being selective. They are reporting mainly in qualitative terms, sometimes using some metrics. It makes it impossible for us to compare the impact performance of different companies and to compare it with their profitability. You can go to the Harvard Business School site, IWA's impact weighted accounts, and you can see 3,000 companies' environmental footprint today, meaning the environmental damage that they cause through their operations. Now, 450 of these 3,000 companies create more damage than profit in a year. Nearly 1,000 create damage equivalent to 25% or more of their profit. Together, they create $4 trillion worth of environmental damage in a single year. And most importantly, Laurie, and why, and this is why it's inevitable we're going to get to impact accounting, is you can see a correlation now between high levels of pollution and lower stock market valuations of companies in many sectors. The train has left the station on impact measurement now. And within 3 to 5 years, in my view, we're going to have mandatory publication by companies of impact-weighted accounts.
The train has left the station. We invite you all to climb on board. The book is Impact: Reshaping Capitalism to Drive Real Change. It is out there. It is available. Penguin Random House is the publisher. Sir Ronnie, thank you so much for joining me and the Deep Impact Conference today. Really appreciate it.
Great pleasure, Laurie. Always great to talk with you.